Well, hello all. I am sitting on an homemade electric power generator. It's a pedal powered electric power generator, and you pedal it, and as you pedal, let's show you what happens. It turns. So this is a modified exercise bike, and as you turn the pedals, it turns this Mazda alternator, and the alternator, you'll see, has got some wires that go to this little battery, which is a motorbike battery. Charges the battery, and then you can use the battery to let's get the polarity right. To shine these LEDs, and then you can keep the battery powered by turning this. And so that's going to power the battery, and that's going to keep the LEDs powered. So you're charging the battery, and the battery, which is great for when there's a power blackout. So that all works on 12 volts. But here's the next thing that you can do is we've got here a small power inverter, and you can attach this to the battery. Again, let's get the polarity right. So that's the negative, that's the positive. We plug in, let's get a 220 volt lamp. So here is our lamp. You plug it into the inverter. Switch the inverter on. Now the inverter, I think, is complaining because there's not enough power for the lamp. So maybe when we get turning on this, we could get enough current going to this battery. It's a very small battery. Let's just see. So here,
yeah,
you're just going to switch that button on. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me get. Okay, get ready to. What do I do? Just turn the switch on. Turn it on. There we go. Now you see, the moment you stop, the battery system loses its power and the inverter starts to complain, and then it's going to go off. It's the moment the battery gets below a certain voltage. Oh yeah, there we go. So the main thing is one has to keep pedaling to keep that light going. Oh, great. Now I can take the thing apart. Use this for the solar tracker. Great. That was it. But it's quite nice in the way that you have to keep this pumping into this little battery. I don't know how bad this battery is, but
well, I assume it's got nothing since it's
been replaced from another motorbike. So it's...
Although maybe, I don't know, it's been part of that other thing. I don't know how.
The voltage seems okay, 12 volts, but...
Yeah, but you can't tell that without a load.
Like exactly. The moment you put a load on it, it just dies.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's actually quite perfect for this system. Because you immediately know if you're not pedaling hard enough. Great.
Oh,
Thanks a lot. So there we showed how you actually have to keep pedaling to keep this is a very marginal battery, to keep that charged enough to power the inverter, to power the lamp. And you'll find that the more load, which is this small little lamp, the more load you put on this, the harder it gets to pedal, because it's dropping the voltage all the time if you've got a bigger load. And somehow the alternator picks it up and knows that it's got to work harder. There's some electronics in the alternator. I just want to show you the one last thing here. There is a little switch here that once you're pedaling, you push this little switch. I took that from now where is the camera? From a microwave door. It's a little micro switch here. Now what that does is when you press this momentarily, it energizes. It's either, I think it's the stator. This is a Mazda alternator. It's got a stator, it's got a rotor. And both of them are just coils. Now, the moment you energize the stator, it gets a magnetic field so that when the rotor rotates in that field, it can generate and become a self-generating thing. But the problem with these alternators is you've always got to energize them a little bit of the stator at first, and then the whole system is self-maintaining until it stops again. So this little switch on the handlebar, once you're pedaling a little bit, you press in the switch. I remember wiring this up. Here are some resistors that go to here's where you energize the stator, and then it all works perfectly from the kinetic energy you're putting in through your pedaling through this wheel, which you can see turns the alternator, and the alternator powers the battery energizes and powers the inverter powers the lamp. So we're taking kinetic energy, which is the energy of rotation, turning it into electrical. We're then converting it into chemical potential in the battery. That's getting converted again into electrical and then into light energy. So there's a whole lot of conversions of energy, and at each stage in the process one loses a little bit of energy. It's all not totally efficient. So I didn't realize that I hadn't made a video on this, because I welded this all up before I started making YouTube videos. It's over a decade ago. I thought I'd made a YouTube video of it, but I haven't. Now I want to take it apart and use this frame of the exercise bike to make a solar tracker. I've already got my solar panels, and they're going to be placed inside here and be able to rotate at the same speed as the sun moves across the sky, so that your solar panels always are facing the sun. So I needed this bike. I need to get rid of this. I've been trying to sell this pedal powered electricity generator. Nobody's interested. I suppose they take a look, they say, gee, that looks ugly, that looks Heath Robinson like, that looks very unprofessional, so we're not gonna spend a few bucks on buying this thing. So that's fine. It just reminds me that to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. The good book, and Ecclesiastes 3 through Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, made that statement, that to everything there is a season. So I totally enjoyed building this exercise bike. Unfortunately, my knee is packed up. So my left knee, so I'm not able to cycle anymore. So I can't use this anymore. That season of cycling is finished. I did probably 50 races, maybe even closer to 100. Got all the medals to show for it. Didn't come anywhere. It was just for the fun of it. Did a lot of cycling, wore out that knee. That season ended. Fantastic. And I had to get exercise a different way. So it opened a new season, which was hacking. That opened the new season of stealth camping, because if I was hacking, I might as well make shelters and bridges and things like that. So, yeah, when one door closes, God opens another. There's a new season. And Ecclesiastes says that in its season, the thing that you do is so enjoyable, because it says that you will find beauty, joy, and happiness in the thing in its season. And then maybe when the season closes, you don't find that joy, beauty, and happiness anymore that Solomon talks about, and you will move on to a different season and find joy, beauty, and happiness in the next thing that you try. And the next thing that I'm going to try is to use this for a solar tracker. But at the same time, there's also the season, a time to gather and a time to release stuff, time to build, time to break down. So I built this over 10 years ago when I was an active cyclist. Now I can't pedal this thing so easily anymore. I can't get my exercise through it. So now it's the season, time for it to go and make way for a solar tracker and other things that are beautiful in the season. Now, sometimes think that when you try to prolong a season, you lose the beauty, the joy, the happiness. There's a joy, a beauty, happiness of each project in its season. And I look back on my life, it went through many seasons. And when you try to do the same thing you used to do, you don't find the same joy. That the season has closed. You're onto a new season. And then you find joy, beauty, and happiness in this new project, this new thing, which in this case is building a solar tracker, which I'll make a video of and show you. But certainly at the time when I built this and got it generating, in this case we can generate 12 volts or we can generate 220 volts. I've demonstrated both. The 12 volts is with this LED strip straight from the battery. The 220 volts is using the inverter to power the lamp. And it was beautiful, it was fun, it was fantastic. This machine was wonderful in its time. It was an exercise bike. I could exercise when we had power failures, as we do here in South Africa. We have load shedding. We've got load shedding today. We've had it during the night. We always have times when power fails. You can sit and get some exercise, generate light, create your own 220 volts of electricity. But for me, that season is now closed, thankfully, partially due to my knee not being able to withstand that cycling motion. It aggravates the knee joint. So we go on to things that are new in their season. And, I feel a strong urge to get rid of everything that I don't use or haven't used for. Let's start with the stuff I haven't used for over a decade, like this bike. Get rid of it. Do something with it. Clear out the clutter out of your life. And in this case, I'm going to repurpose it. I'm going to try and take this Mazda alternator and sell it. I'm going to streamline and get rid of all the parts of this that I don't need. I just need the stand to hold the solar tracker. So that is the season that I feel I'm in, to get rid of all the junk and stuff that one doesn't use, and to repurpose it, sell it, create space for yourself, reduce the clutter. That is the season. There's a time to collect, a time to, build up, and a time to break down. Now is the time to just get rid of the stuff. I don't want, when I die, a house full of clutter that my descendants and the people after me have to get rid of all this junk. And sometimes you can sell some of that junk. So if you can't sell it and it's worthless, throw it out. So that is the season that I am currently in.